Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Hey, George, did you have a successful ending tonight?
I think so.
All right. And Travis, how are you, sir?
I'm okay. I think do we do an agreement here where the first 10 minutes of the show will be a spoiler-free
Non-spoiler?
review, and then tease it and then go into it? Or do we just go into it?
You know, the thing about this movie, Halloween Ends is what we're talking about tonight, just came out on Friday, this past Friday. It's on streaming. People have had a chance to see it. The internet is spoiling it left and right. I think it's fair game for us to jump right in and just say, hey, everybody, here's what's going on in this movie.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
That's good, because when Meg asked me how the movie was, my wife Meg, I said,
Meg.
it was good. Michael's dead. And she's like, really? And then I explained how he perished. Finally.
I've been very excited to talk to you boys about this show. Now, we're recording way later into our week's cycle, way later than normal, so that everybody had a chance to see it. So this will be quickly turned around and released to you guys. So when you were hearing this for the first time on Wednesday, just know we recorded this just hours before you heard it.
Yeah.
With all that said, I'm very interested to hear who liked it and who didn't like it, if any of us did either of those things. So, George, you being the virgin of films, having now seen Halloween Ends for the first time, tell me your initial impression.
I thought it was a very good movie. That was very well done.
Go on.
Yeah, let's hear. Yeah, go ahead and tell us more about your experience there, George.
What?
That's
What?
what?
There's so much. You remember how back when we were watching all the Jason movies, I explained a theory of how someone could take up the mantle of Jason and it wouldn't be corny?
Indeed.
I was wrong, because I think that this movie did it maybe in the best way possible. And I was still, well, I won't say still, but this movie did that storyline the best way possible. And I was glad when it came to an end in this movie and not in a movie sometime in the future.
Okay.
Like, I liked how it was kind of there and it was cut off.
Okay.
So that was good. And I'm talking about the Myers mania that Cody was under.
Okay.
Okay?
Corey.
Corey.
What did I say?
Cody. Yes, Cordy. Corey.
Cordy.
Not Cordy. Is that a dog?
Corey. That Corey was under.
That's a corgi.
So when I was watching it, I got this kind of like, I don't like this. I know I asked for this like years ago. I don't like watching it. And then it ended and I was like, okay, it's fine. It's good.
So compare it then, your level of potential buyer's remorse for the mantle-changing killer storyline. Compare that to your experience with Jason Goes to Hell and with Silent Night, Deadly Night. Both of which we pointed out when we watched them, like, hey, you asked for this, why don't you like it? And usually the answer in those two cases was because this movie is shit. But tonight, it sounds like you actually kind of liked it. So compare, contrast, juxtapose for us the experience of watching Jason Goes to Hell, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Halloween Ends. The high points, at least.
Well, I mean, just for that type of storyline, I think that, this movie didn't like overhype it and didn't make it, it didn't make it the focal point. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like Corey was a side player in this. I mean, he was like pretty much a main character, but he's not the main character in a Halloween movie. He was kind of like a side thing. You know what I mean? And the way it happened, he doesn't have any, relationship with Michael, but he does have a really rough background. and with the people in the town hating him, it makes sense that he would want to burn the place down, like he said, right? And what better way to do it than assume the mantle of Michael Myers. Now, it felt when he did it, I was like, oh no, I don't like this. No, like.
But if that's what happened, then it would have made more sense. But they tried to make it a possession thing,
I don't think so.
Was he seeing Michael? Was he really there? Was he just assuming, almost like a
Why do you say that? Because I don't think. I think I took everything at face value.
Okay, well, to me, the sewer dwelling Michael was very it. There's a lot of homages, almost accidental. The Myers in the sewer was very it-like, Pennywise.
Okay.
The Corey character, you've never seen Christine, but it kind of had a feel of Christine, which was ironic, and maybe it was done on purpose because of the scene in the junkyard was very Christine-ish.
It's a John Carpenter movie. They know what they're doing with that one.
Yes, they know what they're doing. So, but the Arnie character in Christine has a slow progression of possession from the car.
Right, and that's Arnie Cunningham, just like Corey Cunningham. I mean, it's in the text, it's on the face of it. Yes, intentional.
So, to me, that's what I was taking Corey's character as. Not so much picking up the mantle because of his life and how things were going, and he's like, oh, I can stick it to this town by being the next Michael. And it felt more, and maybe they did this maybe I misinterpreted it, but it felt like he was being possessed by the evil of Michael Myers. And took that mantle and went ahead and did what he did.
I feel like he wanted to be Michael Myers, but nobody can be Michael Myers. And that's why it worked for me.
Okay.
Because he wanted to be, and he tried to be, and he did his best to be Michael Myers. But in the end, he is not Michael Myers, and he got murked by the first competent person he came up against.
Who was your girl?
It was JLC.
So a couple of things I want to jump in while we're on this topic, and then we'll keep going with that momentum. But I had some feelings in this movie that brought me back to Jason Goes to Hell, of course. I mean, you've got this, I'm waiting for the black snake at times to just make its appearance.
This entity.
But at the same time, I got kind of a Freddy versus Jason vibe, where you've got, the copycat bringing power to Michael Myers.
Right.
Through his creating of copycat victims, and then, restoring the fear that is the power source of Freddy Krueger. And in this case, it seemed like, it was building up Myers. I don't know after one watch if Michael Myers is consistently present. I don't know where I fall as far as the ambiguity of the humanity of a Michael Myers in this movie or this trilogy. I mean, I've been bringing it up since the 2018 movie when we talked about that.
Right.
There are elements of this Myers that are human. There are elements that are extra human. So I don't know exactly where I fall on in each scene. Is it Myers or is it the copycat Myers creating this new, recent legacy to further the fear of Haddonfield? So I don't have definitive stances yet. But one thing that I thought was interesting that you said, the reclaiming the fear of Michael Myers.
Yeah, it was burning down Haddonfield. The best way to do it is to resurrect Michael Myers, basically.
Right, and it's exploiting the inherent fear that exists in Haddonfield because of Michael Myers. It's not necessarily like a power of Michael Myers. It's, the kindling, the thing that will burn is the city itself, accelerated by the legend or lore of Michael Myers. So where the agency lies, where, this movie is way more complex than I thought it was going to be for a Halloween sequel. And so I am still this early on. I've only seen it 1.5 times because I rewatched certain sections today just to clarify a couple of things. This is a tough nut to crack. And I cannot wait to see how I feel about it in 5 or 10 years and how the internet at large feels about it in 5 or 10 years, because I think there's been a certain reaction online, and I think by the time we reach the 2030s, I think the reaction is going to be very different.
And what is your prediction? How do you mean? First of all, start with what is like the general opinion about this movie, because I have been
Probably mine.
completely like I haven't seen anything online about it.
If I were to estimate, given a limited sample size, I would say it's easily 70-30 dislike. And among that 70% dislike, that 80% dislike, there's a good 20 or 30% of those folks who are like fervently, personally insulted by the existence of this movie.
Wow.
But here's the thing. When this movie begins, right away you get the opening credits going. After the cold open, you get to the credits. Now, we've talked about it before, like the symbolism of their pumpkins has been kind of on the nose with 2018, with the rotten pumpkin that restores itself, you know. Did you catch what the pumpkin was doing in this intro?
There was pumpkins
growing
exploding
from within other pumpkins.
Yeah.
It was
Replacing other pumpkins.
Yeah, it was
the changing faces of evil pumpkin.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're putting it out there, and you don't know it yet because you're watching it for the first time. But, like, this is what we're doing. It's right in front of you. And did you notice the font was familiar?
I didn't notice the font.
I didn't notice the font, no.
So the font for this movie, for the opening credits, is not the Halloween font from the last two movies. It's the Halloween 3 font. Which right away, my little nerd heart was just like, oh, we're going to get 40-Foot Michael. Oh, we're going to get Silver Shamrock Connection.
Praying for 40-Foot Michael.
You wanted a 40-Foot Michael, so did I.
At halfway through, that's what I was hoping for.
So we never did get our 40-Foot Michael, which bums me out a little bit. But I don't think I needed him in this movie. I'll just tell you guys up front. You probably already guessed, but I fucking love this movie. It nailed it for me in a way that I didn't expect. And it did things I never expected to see in a slasher movie. I'm not even sure it is a slasher movie, but it is a Halloween movie. And much like Halloween 3 that, you know, kicked people right in the teeth when it came out because it wasn't Michael Myers. There wasn't enough Myers. There's, you know, what's this weird side plot? What's this weird love story between Chalice and the girl? Like, what are we doing with a love story and no Myers in a Halloween movie? And as Halloween 2018 was kind of a remake of Halloween 78, and Halloween Kills stole a lot of inspiration from Halloween 2. Halloween Ends is doing Halloween 3 just instead of doing Stonehenge, right? We're not doing fucking Stonehenge, right? And
no, we're not doing fucking Stonehenge.
Instead, we're doing Haddonfield and evil and fear and how... Instead of how does Michael Myers relate to fear, it's an inverse of the formula. Instead of how does Michael Myers create fear and how does fear affect Haddonfield, this is like the opposite. How does fear within Haddonfield create and sustain the boogeyman? It's an inverse.
Yes.
And it blew my fucking mind. But there's still probably a lot. If I do this show again, if we revisit this movie in a year, I may change some of my positions and have more information because I am just coming off my first watch. But I got enough out of this movie the first time that I was just like, oh, nailed it.
Yeah, good. That's where I'm at.
And at one point, I leaned over to my wife. We watched this in the theater. This was the second movie I watched in our new theater after Tenebrae. It's the first movie we watched together. So she's like, oh my God, this theater's cool. I'm like, yeah, also the movie's good. She also liked the movie. She's a big Halloween fan, but she was digging the vibe it was putting out there. But I leaned over to her at one point, about 45 minutes in, and I said, there are about to be some really angry dudes on Facebook with fish in their profile pictures. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, don't worry about it. But, guys holding up the fish they caught, that demographic fucking hates this movie.
I don't fish.
Well, you're not the only one. You're in a different demographic, but that demographic is very angry at this movie. I'm still not sure what they wanted because no one. Travis is going to give us what he wanted, but Travis is more informed, I think, than a lot of the horror community on Facebook.
But there's some boneheads out there. Like, I hate when people say I hate something, but they don't give you a reason why. They don't tell you. It's just because.
They're just haters.
Yeah,
my understanding from a lot of these reactions, it's that brainstem hatred. Like, they haven't thought about it yet. The impulse hit their brainstem, me hate movie bad, and they never got past it. But I think if you asked a lot of people who hate Halloween Ends on the face of it, you'd ask them, what did you want? And they'd say more Michael, more kills. And then you could point at Halloween Kills and be like, that movie had 31 fucking kills.
Yeah.
What are you doing? 400 kills? Like, what do we do beyond 31 kills in an hour and a half movie?
32 kills.
Yeah, I mean, is that what you really need? Do you need to get to 32, 33? Are we just chasing a number now?
No, it's sophomoric to do that.
I was not looking for kills. The original Halloween has 3 murders. Like, seriously, that's not why I dislike
Well, I mean, 5 murders.
Well, 5, yeah. 3 recorded. 5.
3 that you see.
Yeah, 3 you see.
So, and I rewatched that this weekend. And had a movie night with some friends. Guys, I put on a pretty good movie night. We watched that in Sleepaway Camp, and the two of my friends had never seen Sleepaway Camp, so it blew some minds.
Have I seen Sleepaway Camp?
Oh, but you will.
But you will.
Oh, but you will. That'll be a hell of an episode, actually. But so one thing I noticed in Halloween, and I wish I had thought to do it until I thought about when the credits were rolling. I kind of wanted to run a stopwatch to see how much Michael is actually in the original Halloween. Because after watching Ends and thinking about those complaints about not enough Michael, I'm interested to see how much screen time that dude actually has in the movie. I would estimate 20 minutes. Hi, this is Dan in Post. While I'm sitting here editing this podcast, I happen across a tweet from Halloween Movie Source listing 10 minutes and 55 seconds of screen time for Michael in Halloween Ends, as opposed to 9 minutes, 37 seconds in Halloween 78. So, as I predicted, with very little information at the time, it was not very much screen time. But shoot, that's still half of what I guessed. So, dang, guys. Anyway, back to the show.
Yeah, but I think coming from the person in the show that is probably the only one who hated it, or it's been confirmed. The original Myers is kind of like Hannibal Lecter. He's on screen just enough. You get exactly what you want and need, and they give you a little bit more than you wanted, and you're excited about that. But when you do the math, he really wasn't in it that much, but he was a focal point.
Sure.
So even if you didn't see Hannibal Lecter in the movie Silence of the Lambs, I think just talking about him would have made an impact. Like, even if you never met him till like the end, and they talked about him and they referred to him, and he was a focal point in the dialogue, there's still something there that makes you think he's a prominent character and something to be worried about or whatever.
Hi, this is Dan in Post again. I don't know if these guys are all sharing the same like media talking points or something, but from what Travis just said about focal points, literally the first reply on that tweet with time frames says that Michael was the focal point of 1978. When he wasn't seen, he was felt stalking, slowly building tension. And then the second reply to that just says, well, the same thing can be said about Ends. Overall, you feel the tension of Michael still in Haddonfield, just in a different light. So here's what I propose our listeners do. Tally how many times they mention Michael Myers when he's not on screen in Ends. And then do the same thing for 78. And I bet this is just me guessing off the top of my Dan and Post head, but I bet the frequency of Michael mentions is equal to or higher in Ends but it's simply a matter of Corey visually distracting some viewers. So that's your homework. Back to the show.
With this, I think people, when they say, yeah, there are people in face value who are like, oh, I just wanted to see more Michael walking around doing stuff. My view, because I had the same complaint, where's Michael? I even said it to a few people. I was like, Myers was in this? I know what they were trying to do, but they failed to do what Jason Goes to Hell did, which was, even though it wasn't Jason in a hockey mask, it was still Jason. So people looked at it as, okay, it's still a Jason movie. So I compared this to kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, where you had Jesse, who was being taken over, possessed by the lore or the entity of Freddy, where he slowly brought him to life by being present in Jesse's brain.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think, failed on, for me personally, I think it failed on explaining, was Myers literally in that sewer, or was it a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader in the swamp cave moment where Luke saw himself in the helmet of Vader when he chopped his head off? Like, was it a vision? Was it a prompt? Was it, like, they never were clear about that. Then when they show towards the end where there are two different bodies in the house, there's Corey and Myers.
Uh-huh.
Again, is this a figment of his imagination? Is this a personification of his drive? Is this, like, they never really...
Which scene are you talking about?
Every scene.
I thought it was pretty clear that Myers was there.
Like, you know how when Jesse was Freddy, and Freddy was going around doing stuff, and then a kill happened, and you watched the kill, and it was Freddy do the kill.
I think it was pretty clear in this movie whether it was Michael or Corey.
But when you hear Freddy laughing in the mirror, and then they show Jesse looking in the mirror, and he's the one wearing the glove. So he's the one that did the kill as Freddy.
Yeah.
That was clear. Whether the movie was good or not, that's arguable.
Yeah.
But it was clear that's happening in his head. He's being overtaken. He's doing the will of Freddy.
Yeah.
And bringing that entity to 100%.
Yeah.
Same thing with Freddy versus Jason. Freddy had no power until there was fear of Freddy. Once there was fear of Freddy, then he started getting power.
Yeah.
So with this, there's face value. There's Myers. There's Corey. Corey assumes the mantle, almost like Roy in Friday the 13th 5, where he becomes Myers, chooses to be Myers.
Yeah.
And there is no Michael in this movie. Or there is Michael, and Michael is gaining power and strength by the belief in him from Corey. Like, it's not clear. So I guess it's open to interpretation.
So one thing, as I'm going through kills in my mind here, when we see Myers on screen literally corporeal murdering people, he kills does he kill he kills the lady, right? Not the doctor. The doctor is killed by Corey.
Doctor.
He kills the girlfriend of the doctor.
Yeah, Allison's coworker, let's call her.
Mm-hmm.
The one that got the promotion.
Yes, and then she gets bobbed right into the wall.
Oh, God, that was so good.
But he kills her. He cannot fight Corey one-on-one. Corey's like a, 24-year-old in-shape dude. So he fails physically against him. I'm just trying to keep score as to whether it's, on the face of it, just an old man who is not at his peak physicality. Like, he fights with old Jamie Lee Curtis, and he fights with a nurse who's, in a robe and not in her best, like, defensive posture. And he catches her unaware because she's too busy worried about Corey and defending herself from Corey. She's not looking for Myers. Does he kill anybody else? Or is Corey the one who kills everybody else?
The street person. The homeless guy.
Corey kills the homeless person.
He's asking, does Michael
Myers kill anybody else in this movie? Because
I don't think so.
It could very well be that he is just in a weakened state as a physical person. Is that Myers or is that Corey?
That was Corey.
It's Corey with the Myers mask on?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I kind of took it as he left that, again, Skywalker in the cave, he left that sewer with the mask.
Corey did.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he said, I need this. Like, he's realizing that what he's doing is not working fast enough to get the notoriety within Haddonfield. And I know he goes on the spree and, Halloween 4's it in the tow truck thing. That was a fun callback to Halloween 4.
Yeah, but it was definitely way more a callback to Christine. I loved it. That scene I loved, and I love the opening scene. That was a great tone setter.
And
with
I don't.
The kid.
Generally, one of my red lines for movies is violence against innocent children.
Right.
So I had to go on faith that like this movie wasn't gonna fuck me over.
Well, even if it was
scene.
an accident.
Well, what's funny is you can ask my son. I actually, when that kid played a joke on his mother when he was hiding and jumped out on her, as soon as that door shut, I said, "Oh, this kid. That was a foreshadow. He's a prankster. He's gonna probably die from this." And Gabe's like, "What?" I said, "He's probably gonna accidentally stab him with that knife when he comes around the corner or something."
Yeah.
But instead, he opens the door on him and sends him violently down two stories.
I think it was 2 stories. Yeah.
I mean, that was rough.
That was,
Yeah.
ugh.
That was not good. Yeah.
But the idea that they've created a scenario in which Corey, not Lori, is a male, not female, babysitter,
right.
but not really a babysitter, who is not related to the child he kills accidentally, as opposed to Michael, who kills a relative on purpose when being babysat. Right? Like, this is a very much like an inverse situation to the nth degree. It took a lot of legwork to get there.
I really don't think that situation with Corey and the little boy he was babysitting has anything to do with why Corey went the path he did. The reason why Corey went the path he went was because of the town.
Well, and I
the
think
way the town treated him.
Well,
after
he had a
the
John
fact.
Rambo moment where he comes out of prison and ends up coming back home, and he's a pariah. Like, no one wants to deal with him.
But I think it does. Okay, so this is probably a fine point of clarification. The death of that child that he's babysitting does not like create in him some kind of murder lust.
Right.
No.
However, the city's need for a boogeyman or familiarity with a boogeyman, you can't understate how important that is. That like his role in the murder basically at that point forces the mantle of the boogeyman on him. And you see that in the way that the house is abandoned, like the old Myers house, and everybody sees him. And you're that guy that killed that kid. So yes, within him, it doesn't seem to create a murder lust or anything. And he does feel terrible, it seems, for accidentally killing this poor kid. However, it does play a role in him being put on he doesn't end up on this path if that doesn't happen. But it's because of the agency is within the city to attach this label to him, this boogeyman label.
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like we wouldn't have to have this kind of a conversation with Friday the 13th part 13. So hats off to Halloween Ends for at least giving it like a fair effort. But hey, Friday the 13th 13 comes out next year maybe, so who knows?
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe they'll go
they
deep
definitely
with
tried
it.
something.
So, Trav, what's your big problem? Is it Myers your big problem, or is it other things?
My biggest problem was not that they didn't have Myers. I understand what they were doing. My biggest problem was the third movie in a trilogy trying to introduce a complex character, make him so traumatically affected that he's now going to voluntarily or involuntarily take on the mantle of Michael Myers and clear up all 4 stories: Myers, Lori, Corey, and the granddaughter. What's her name? Allison. So that's 4 people that they need to wrap up. They already had to wrap up 3, and then they introduced this new character.
Yep.
The whole time I'm watching it, I knew what they were trying to do. I didn't mind it, but I was aggravated at the fact that they were trying to do it when they could have done it with existing characters already.
Okay.
Who's left in the universe to put that onto, though?
I was gonna say, yeah. Who would you rather that?
I mean, they killed everybody in the last movie.
My view,
Yeah.
if this is what they were going to do, now I don't know if he's George Lucas and he had this all fleshed out already and this was his ending all along, or if this is what they did as an answer to everybody's anger about ends or kills. The Tommy Doyle character.
Yep.
Could have been Corey. They could have done childhood trauma, part of that event, grew up secluded, maybe psychotic or over-medicated, anxiety, all kinds of different issues that turned into mental issues, to where he was separate, detached. Instead of what they did, turning him into Gaston, they could have turned him into this character. That
I still stand by that kills can not exist, and
right.
My life would be no different.
But to me, they kind of did like a Star Wars. No. The thing they did in Star Wars made everybody angry. They introduced a bunch of new characters without cleaning up and ending the characters that basically the story's based around. They just were like, all right, let's move on. Fans are great. We're moving on. Right. It's like you didn't tie this shit up.
Right.
To me, it was like Tommy Doyle was already done half-assed. I didn't like how they dealt with that character. But once I met this Corey character, I was like, oh, they should have done that with him. And then that ending with Corey or Tommy
do you
and
think
Laurie would have been way more impactful, where she has to kill the kid she babysat the night that this all happened. That, to me, I was like, that's such a missed opportunity. That kind of and that was after watching the whole movie, and I was just thinking, if this is what they wanted to do, which I was on board, I liked the idea, if they would have tied it to the characters that are already in the world, that ending would have been off the chain for me.
You would have to do that ending in H2O, though, because Tommy would be, approximately the age, a little bit older than John, her son. But at this point, you've got a 55-year-old Tommy.
No, wait. The H2O is not this timeline.
Right. No, what I'm saying is this would have had to happen in the year 1998.
What you're saying is Tommy is too old.
You have an old Tommy.
They gave us Tommy last movie.
No, okay. Listen to the words I'm saying and not what you think. I'm saying.
You're saying
he's too fucking old at this point. She's old. You would have old Michael, old Tommy, old Laurie. It would be a rumble at the old folks' home.
But we already have an old Michael. We have. I know you want to pass the mantle on to a 20-year-old.
We have an old and a young Michael.
But what I'm saying, story-wise, I understand age is an issue, but to me, the story suffered for me.
I mean,
trying to introduce this complex character when you had the characters already there, you could have done it with a young, maybe what's his name? Her boyfriend, Allison's boyfriend.
Though. He's also dead.
I'm saying if they knew they were going to go this route, they could have taken characters that were already in the movies and give them a better arc. Tommy's arc, whether he's old or not, he's not. He doesn't have to continue to be Michael Myers.
I think
it's over.
The more and more I feel like Kills ruined. Like Kills has these tentacles that are just like reaching out and ruining even more and more stuff than just the movie Kills itself.
But I think also
like what Travis is saying is like it's true. Like, but they couldn't do these things because Kills was the way Kills was.
But what Dan's saying is that they're passing the mantle on to a younger person. But they weren't going to continue it anyway because Corey died.
Yeah, they weren't really.
So Tommy doing it, whether he's old or not, it's still a better arc. And it's a great arc for Laurie. The fact that she would have to stab him in that kitchen, the boy that she babysat, maybe he had a lot of shit going on growing up that we would have been privy to last movie. And this movie would have been his crescendo, his character end.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of the meat in the last movie where this movie kicks off and he's at his end. He's now Jeffrey Dahmer. He's now like obviously not a cannibal, but like he's a serial killer in the making by the end of
By the end
beginning
of
of this movie, to where when he makes that transition, you're like, oh wow, I saw that coming. But wow, the fact that she has to end the life of the kid that she was supposed to keep safe, and he's only this kid, or he's only this destroyed man because of the night that they all shared.
Yeah.
To me, that's what made me hate Corey even more, because the Corey character just kind of felt like an ends or ends to justify the means. Like he was like, okay, we have to get this arc. We want to have this. They're gonna burn down the city, almost like Allison kind of got caught up in the possession too. Like she was like, yeah, let's just burn it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
She was done too.
Haddonfield has that effect on people, apparently.
I'm not really convinced that Corey is possessed by Michael Myers, though.
No, but possessed by the idea. Like I'm telling you, I was getting a lot of Arnie vibes from this movie.
Yeah, I think those are there on purpose.
And George hasn't seen Christine, but it definitely had that feel, and it definitely had the coercion feel of Pennywise. Like you know how Pennywise kind of got in all those kids' heads, and he did, like, to me, that's how I was feeling. It felt very supernatural to me. I wasn't looking at it as face value. It's very funny you brought up Halloween 3, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, this is Green's Halloween 3. He's doing something different, and I appreciate it, but I just was not buying into the Dawson's Creek feel of it. There was a lot of Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
And it seemed unnecessary. But I really liked...
Well, you know, Kevin Williamson did a great job with Scream and H2O, so maybe there should be some Dawson's Creek in there.
But I don't think Scream had that full out, like, corny love story. Like, it almost seemed forced. It was like all of a sudden they're like ready to die for each other. It's like they just met like yesterday or Thursday. Like, I wasn't buying it.
I don't know, man. You know, they had a lot in common. They saw a lot of each other in each other.
Yeah, I remember being young.
But they could have done them. They're young. They're like pushing.
All right,
20.
All right, so let's just like kind of point out the obvious here a little bit. In order to fix this movie for Travis, you also have to fix kills.
Yes.
Definitely.
Right? Kills has to be different.
But this movie makes me like Kills a little bit more.
Really?
Because it gave me the thoughts of, oh, well, if that's what you're going to do, then you should have did all this.
Okay, because I feel like they kind of painted themselves into this corner with Kills. They had to bring on Corey because there wasn't anybody left.
Well, okay, so I want to jump in here because one thing that's, I think, very important about the Corey character, besides the fact that he's, you know, Corey, not Laurie, the babysitter, not babysitter. The idea that this city is not just one event that has traumatized one group of people, and for 40 years they were traumatized. But now you're starting to see the personality of Haddonfield like leaking out onto another entire generation completely removed from the original event. And really only tangentially related to the events of even the 2018 and Kills movie, because Corey in those movies doesn't exist yet. He's not tied into the events at all. Yep. And so for him the following year to get drug into and have his life shaped by this horrible accident that has, again, nothing to do with the Michael Myers stuff at all, except that it happens in Haddonfield. And then to spend 2019 through 2022 being labeled as a boogeyman because not of what he did or didn't do, but because of where it happened. Right. And the attitudes of the people and how they've been shaped by their own trauma. There's a certain power to assigning this to somebody completely unrelated to the original events. That you know, it's the familial, everybody's brother, sister in Star Wars, and everybody's in the Strode Myers family in these original timeline. Like,
yeah, but Tommy's not in the Strode family. It's just
it becomes a bigger scale event.
Yeah, and see, this is why. So I didn't mind the Corey character really being introduced in this in this movie because he was, he was a product of Haddonfield, right? And he was kind of I like the fact that he was like a flash in the pan, right? That he was there. He had his arc, and then he was out.
Yeah, he doesn't
And
leave
I-
any
and-
kind of legacy.
No, I like it because it shows what Haddonfield can do to somebody, right?
Right.
But also I also like it because Corey is not Michael Myers. As
Right.
much as he wants to be, there is no replacement for Michael Myers. Right? And I also feel like, again, Corey had to be there because they kind of painted themselves into a corner with nobody left to do this with, but it's okay.
They could have done it with Allison.
They could
but
have.
Then that would have been the Skywalker family.
They could
legacy.
have, and I'm glad that they didn't.
Right. I'm glad they didn't do that either.
Yeah.
I like
mean,
it that it's a random, not a person that is a Strode.
I think it puts the crosshairs on Haddonfield.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to be. I don't think it would have worked as well with Tommy because you don't have that relationship with Allison and Tommy. Their ages are just too different.
But you don't need that really. That's
okay.
a waste.
Maybe you don't need it.
relationship
That's
at all.
fine. Also, in this movie, you had a lot of dialogue about how, Corey is seen as a killer,
Mhm.
right? And Allison is seen as a victim,
Mhm.
right? And either way, Haddonfield's not good for you. But there was like a tension there between the two because even though they had a lot in common, they had a lot that was not in common.
Yeah, but it was a kind of a Bonnie and Clyde approach, and I just wasn't feeling that.
But I liked it for the short amount of time that it lasted. I'm glad that it ended. It needed to.
But I was seeing the same things you're seeing, and I was thinking all that stuff, it's Haddonfield's fault, all that stuff, the murder or the manslaughter of the kid,
Mhm.
could have all still been put on Tommy. He still could have committed manslaughter and been put away and put him over the edge. He's still a product of Haddonfield because he was born there and lived there. So to me, it's like the only good thing about not making it Tommy is what Dan's saying, that it now becomes somebody random. It's not someone associated with the Strodes. But to me, it just makes the ending more impactful. Like they tried, they did the meat grinder or the metal grinder definite end to him,
which was gnarly,
which was fine.
It was paced
and I
in
called
a way
it
that
like half hour earlier.
If you were trying to look away, it was too late. Like they didn't wait that beat. And so, boom, he's in there. And my wife was like, oh, God, I didn't have a chance to look away.
Well, they used one of those in a very high climactic scene in Walking Dead, which was awesome. So I knew exactly what it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because someone leads a horde of zombies to one of those things.
Oh, yeah.
And it does that exact thing to about 57 zombies.
Yeah.
And you see it all. So to me, I was expecting it. And I remember way back when Corey got his motorcycle, they kept showing that grinder, and I said to Gabe, I'm like, that is where Michael Myers ends right there. I said, I don't know if he's going to chase Lori there and she's going to lure him there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was going to be a ceremonial, like.
Oh, wasn't it nice that he got a funeral procession? I thought that was nice.
The only thing missing from that corny part was her throwing the knife in as well. I was waiting on that.
Oh, that would have been good.
I'm like, come on. Why don't you just
Kristen,
shoot an arrow?
He'd have his knife back, and we've learned from Lori that you don't give the knife back.
You don't give him his knife back. Why don't you just float him in the river and shoot an arrow with a flame on it from the shore?
Do that too.
Yeah. No, but I did see that coming, and I was fine with that. Like, she has always said, I want a definite ending. Maybe it would have been
Who, Jamie Lee Curtis said that? Yeah.
It might have been almost borrowing to have her maybe grab him and fall into the grinder. That way they both die. But that would have been too reminiscent of another iconic female character. So, but That would have been cool too.
Now,
I mean,
when he got the motorcycle early on, I didn't notice it the first time through because I wasn't expecting where this movie was going to go. He's wearing Michael Myers' coveralls.
Coveralls, yeah.
oh yeah,
While he's working on the
100%.
thing.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh man, I should have seen that coming. But I was so enraptured with how adorable he was that
I honestly,
didn't
when
even
I saw
catch
his
it.
coveralls, I thought he's going to die
And
because
Michael's gonna take
Michael
his
needs
overalls.
those coveralls.
Yeah, there's a naked Michael out
The
there
coveralls.
somewhere that needs his
Yes,
coveralls.
exactly. That's what I thought when I saw
No,
him.
he's not naked. He's just stranded in the cave.
It is funny
Yeah.
that you mentioned Bonnie and Clyde though, with the Halloween costumes from 2018.
Yeah.
Like, it's in here. It's in the DNA of
It's
this
there.
little
They're doing
trilogy.
the thing, as you say.
They're doing the thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
So there's
I-
that scene at the first time he meets Myers in the sewers.
Corey, right?
When
Yeah.
Corey meets Myers in the sewers, and I was thinking, oh, great, we're doing Ninja Turtles, and my wife had
Yeah, I was looking
some
for
other.
the ooze.
I mean,
Without
the
the
thing
pizza?
about the sewers, there's so many of these that you can just be like, oh, oh yeah. My wife goes, oh, Michael Myers is the penguin. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. I did turn to Gabe and I said, if they do a training montage, I'm out.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
It's good they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, if they do like a Michael passing the torch by teaching him how to be Michael, I said
Like a wax on, wax
yeah,
off.
I'm like, this
Yeah,
movie's done.
That
I'm
wouldn't
out.
be good.
So he
This
grabs
movie
Corey.
ends tonight.
Michael grabs Corey by the throat. And there's this
Yeah.
moment where it appears to me, watching on a small TV tonight, trying to go back and review this scene, that he's seeing his own reflection in the kid's eyes.
Yeah.
Much like
Uh-huh.
looking in the mirror in Halloween Kills, right? Michael sees his
The
own
window.
reflection on the window, staring back at himself. In this case, he sees himself on Corey's eyes. And that's when you get that montage flash of kind of the traumatic things that have happened to Corey. And it seems to me that Michael lets go at that point.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people online have been saying that basically Myers' eyes, Black Snake Myers' like energy into the guy and possessing him.
Right.
And I think that's
No.
a misreading of that situation.
No, I don't think that happened.
I think
I
you're
agree. That's
you're
a
doing
misread.
Jason Goes to Hell in your own mind, but that's not what
Right.
the movie's doing. I do love that as he recoils, Corey blocks part of the entrance of the tunnel, and the tunnel lighting becomes like the iris of an eye, and he is the shape of like the pupil. It's a really
Mhm.
interesting like image to follow the eye image. Very cool. Big fan of that. It looks kind of Dario Argento or like Hitchcock Vertigo. Like, it's an image that seems to come from a lot of things, and it's really neat. But I do think it's interesting that this underpowered Myers either can't hold on to Corey through this traumatic jump back, or perhaps lets go for one reason or another. And I can't really figure out, because...
Okay.
But one thing I want to point to, one line that really, I wonder if it's intentional. The line is intentional. I wonder if this is an intentional reference as to why Myers would recoil. At the beginning, when Jeremy is still alive, the kid that ends up taking the long fall, he says, after Corey says to him, the boogeyman's coming, right? Jeremy turns and goes, he's not going to get me. Michael Myers kills babysitters, not
Right.
kids, right? And so I'm trying to figure out, do I read in that Myers like, oh, fuck, you killed a kid? Like, whoa. Like, whoa,
You're worse than me.
Like, I'm fucked
I
up,
think-
but you're worse.
Okay. What I
But he didn't kill
took
him on
from that,
purpose.
this is how I interpreted it. You know how like when they say when you're dying, your life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah.
Right. So that was Corey's life flashing before his eyes. Michael Myers doesn't see that. That specifically all of those events. All Michael sees is in his eyes say, not, a person that is like him, not a person that is afraid, right? But a person that is like, say, sorrowful or something like that. Or maybe he sees like, I don't know,
Maybe
same
he
reason
saw
why
that he was worthy of the passing of the mantle.
No.
He's like worthy.
I think that when
I hope-
Michael Myers sees a kid, he sees someone who's not a problem.
It's
Right.
like when he runs into that kid.
I think when he sees Corey's eyes, he sees someone who's not a problem.
Yeah, we talked
know.
about it with Lonnie, how they have the
Right,
interaction on
exactly.
Halloween Kills. But then I made
He got a Lonnie vibe.
I made the incorrect statement in the last episode, correction from Dan, that Lonnie had 2 run-ins with Myers, one in Halloween 78 and then maybe a trumped-up one in Kills. But I was wrong. It's not Lonnie that runs into Myers. It's one of his cronies.
Okay.
One of the other kids in that 3, he's gonna get you, Smash a Pumpkin, that group. One of the
we
other
don't really
kids
meet Lonnie until he
runs
goes to
into
the front
Myers.
door at night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lonnie's in that
Hey.
group, but he runs the other way. So I was
Right.
wrong on that. I got to correct the record for when Library of Congress archives our shit.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Yeah, it's just another, like, I'm Myers. I ignore babies and I don't kill kids. Oh, fuck, a dead kid. Like, it's almost like Myers had the same reaction I did to that scene where he's like, oh, gross. Like, and he lets
Yeah.
go and Corey runs off.
But it was still an accident. So it's not like... But Corey shows later on that he is an adversary. He is a problem because he kills like 5 people.
Oh,
Oh.
no. He's not a problem. He's not oppressing Myers. He's not a Haddonfielder. He's an outsider.
I
You
don't
know what I mean?
I looked at it as face value. It was almost like... I mean, we are talking about a supernatural character. Yes. They never really make
Maybe.
him... But
It's
Loomis says it.
It's still not
There's nothing
positive.
behind those eyes but evil. He says it. I spent 8 years trying to fix
But
him.
that's still, that could potentially be a human. That doesn't necessarily give him any kind of superpowers or anything. I mean, that does happen throughout the show.
I'm not necessarily on board with like the sainthood of Loomis either. I think Loomis,
Slow down.
it's possible that Loomis just could have been a shitty psychiatrist. Just kidding.
Okay.
I believe he was competent and he was right. Obviously.
I think
But-
we are dealing with a subtext of the Halloween characters that Michael Myers is pure freight train evil.
Yeah, but he's
no
also
longer
old
a person.
now. He's
Right,
old.
but what I'm saying, the character. So for some fans to think that was an actual transfer of possession is not unheard of.
Okay, I got you. That's not how I read it.
Right. So I felt that way.
So,
Okay.
So Myers in these movies sees himself in the mirror, and that becomes like a focal point, or in the window. In Halloween Kills, it becomes a focal point. And we have
Mhm.
the lines from Loomis about the darkest eyes, the blackest eyes, all these things from the first movie. And after his literal face-to-face with Myers, we start to see Corey's behavior imitate or mimic the behavior of Myers in the 78 movie with some of his stalking movements and stuff.
Yes.
And his posture change and all that. So
Yep.
I just think that's an interesting parallel that it's not fully fleshed out, and I don't think it should be. I don't want the full, like, unabridged transformation cut where they go
No,
through
you're
the
right.
25 minutes of what is and isn't actually happening. And it's an interesting attention to detail, an interesting interpretation of what might have happened to Michael Myers as a kid. I don't have it fully fleshed out. Talk to me again in a year once I've watched this movie a few more times. But I think it's an interesting step toward a really good idea. Do you think it's interesting that in I think it was when we were talking about what we expected to see in this movie. So in the last episode, one of the things I brought up was how Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 dealt a lot with Laurie's like PTSD after the attack. But I found it interesting that there was a real Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 vibe to Allison's arc at the beginning of this movie. And you haven't seen Halloween 2 yet, and we've spared you from a long ordeal. However, now that I've seen this, I am going to go back and watch Halloween 2 again because I want to see how much of Allison's like post the loss of her mother arc parallels Laurie and Annie's arcs in Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie version, after the events of Halloween 1. Because there's a lot of parallel interested to see how much is actually overlap and how much I'm just, bridging a gap that doesn't need to be bridged.
Sure.
See.
Yeah, I can't help you there. You
know-
guys specifically instructed me not to watch that movie. So.
You want to watch that next week? Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
No, let's not do that.
Did you catch the parallel at the end of the movie that I loved so much that I think, like, if there's that part where, spoiler alert, if you haven't already gotten a spoiler alert vibe from this episode, where you think that Laurie Strode has killed herself, but you know Laurie Strode wouldn't actually kill herself. And then she pops up and goes, "You think I'd actually kill myself, motherfucker?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's great.
Surprise.
It's great.
Yep.
She supplies him with at least 2 bullets. But the thing I love is when he stabs himself and she grabs that knife and suddenly she is him after the death of the kid.
Yes.
And I was just like, I never would have thought to do that. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. You
so
know what
yes,
I
his
thought
arc
of?
ends, but it's like he succeeds in what he wants to do in a lot of ways.
Yes. You know what I thought of?
What's that?
You are the hero long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I thought of.
I saw the triumvirate. Ed Dubrute.
And actually, I saw it even when, Michael Myers was stapled to a countertop.
Oh, the
basically.
Christ moment.
Yeah, it wasn't so much like that, but it had that vibe.
She was
I
about
thought she was
3
gonna
seconds
do
away
a-
from putting a third one in the feet. I'm like,
I was
hear
waiting
you.
for the Halloween kills, like, just all the knives in him.
yeah, I
waiting for
thought it was
that.
going to be Passion of the Myers.
Dude,
like that for a second.
I honestly, when it was happening, I was digging it. When she took the little knife and she put it in his I think his right hand, and then took the frying pan and like just made sure it went
made
all
sure it
the
went
way
in.
in to the countertop. I was like, I was loving that.
Yeah.
And
I'm leaning over to Gabe going, if she puts it in his feet, I'm out.
And honestly, when she stabbed him in the side, I thought she was gonna stab him in the ear, like in the side of the head.
Mm-hmm.
And
Carol.
Yeah, I thought, and honestly, like looking back on it, I think that's probably what I would have done.
Instead of slicing the throat.
There was a lot of, I mean, with Myers full on choking Laurie Strode after having his throat slit was kind of like, I don't think a mortal man could do that, and I guess that was kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that blade was not going into his side. I thought it was going in the side of his head. And that definitely would have, removed any doubt
Yeah.
if he was choking her after that.
If
So-
it did go in his side, then that confirms what I was thinking.
Oh, it
'Cause-
did.
Yeah,
100%.
so it's like it's
Yeah,
the
he
Longinus
got-
spear in
yeah,
the
he
side.
got
Yeah, it's the spear in
he
the
got
side for
one.
sure.
He
Yeah.
got one in each hand. He got one in the side, and
He
he
just
got a
needed a crown of
refrigerator
thorns.
on his knee.
Right.
But he didn't need a crown
So-
of thorns because he already had the mask. Hey,
Word.
I mean, think about it. Haddonfield put that mask on him. Haddonfield mocked him and placed that crown of thorns mask right on Michael Myers.
Well,
Did
I
it
mean,
not?
he put the mask on
And they
himself.
spat on him.
And they spat on him. Yep.
Haddonfield put the
And-
mask
and
on
in ends,
Corey.
They ganged
Yes, they
they
did.
ganged up around him and they were like, crucify him,
Yeah.
crucify him. I mean, it's all there.
It ends tonight.
Oh man. Hey,
It's all
back in
there.
3 days,
They were
you son
like,
of a bitch.
they were like, give us Barabbas.
Yeah, he's like,
And I mean, it's all there.
it's like Jaws. He's like, smile, you son of a bitch.
well, and here's the thing, Michael, he commits his crime and he's put away for life. Corey commits his crime and he's freed. So he was their Barabbas.
Yeah, but Michael's crime was
Yes.
murder. Corey's crime was accidental death.
Also murder.
It was not murder.
At some point it was,
That could
yes.
happen to any of us. Like the dick
No,
bag
no,
was
no.
hiding behind a door 3 times before he even showed up.
I get
That
you.
kid
I get
deserved
you.
to die.
His original. No, God, that's terrible.
No, I'm lying.
No,
completely.
Corey's original sin was not murder. It was
Right.
it was an accident.
Absolutely.
But at some point,
well, he was pushed.
I think at the point where, I mean, even
What do you hunt with this knife? Demons.
Well, no,
Name it.
what does he actually say?
Name it. Name it. Name it. Name it. Yeah, I mean, he was pushed.
No,
John Rambo was pushed.
It's
Corey
true.
was pushed.
Any good killer is pushed, I think.
Laurie drove him to the edge of town and told him to leave. And he turned around and came back in.
Hey, so that last scene where he's getting crucified on the table really hammered home a point that I think was obvious the whole time, but I like to see it. This is the 4th movie in this timeline. It also promises that this is the finale of this timeline. I was thinking of another part 4 that is a final chapter.
Yep.
And the guy's name is Corey Cunningham. Which is,
yes, I caught that.
And we've always talked about the Jasonification of Michael through these movies as he gets more and more violent and gory, as opposed to the original Michael, who is not a bloody, gory killer, gory Corey.
Yep.
When Myers is in his getting pinned to the kitchen island period, there is a moment where one of his hands comes up and is slit between his middle and ring finger down almost to the wrist. The same wound that Jason gets in that final battle in final chapter.
From who?
From Trish.
Okay.
Trish puts the machete in between.
But who kills Jason?
Well, it's Tommy Jarvis.
Played by
Corey Feldman. Another Corey.
Feldman.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Corey Cunningham. So I think they know what they're doing.
Oh, they completely knew what they were doing.
It's wonderful.
They just didn't know when they made the last movie what they were doing.
I believe
Right.
that's true.
I think this was again, Star Wars. Halloween Kills is when Rian Johnson came in and tried to do something, and then Halloween Ends was all the people involved in Halloween 2018 trying to fix everything that was done horribly in Kills.
I believe that.
I think Kills did exactly what it was setting out to do. And I think Ends is
Crucify the
also
town?
achieving its... I think just in the way that it's been received, where people will say, oh, it's dumb and oversimplified and there's all this, but at least there's kills. At least there's a lot of kills. At least he kills 31 people. And then they can be like, well, but you hated this movie. We gave you what you wanted. You wanted 31 kills. You got 31 kills and you hated it. So we're going to give you something completely different. And you hate it because there's not enough Michael and not enough kills. But we already did that movie, so why don't you,
I'm one of those people, but we didn't, or me personally, and I'm sure a lot of us, didn't hate it because it had too many kills. We hated it because it became,
Hold on. Why did you hate
the
it?
Disney movie.
Oh. Did it become a Disney movie, or did it become a story from literature that just happens to have been adapted at some point by the Disney company?
No, it wasn't Beauty and the Beast, the story. It was Disney's Beauty and the Beast.
Oh my God, are we rehashing
I
this
think
again?
we are.
What I'm saying is, no, because I
are we all playing the
episode
game
and
where every time he says the word Gaston, we take a drink?
We should start that.
That would be
game.
wonderful because it would still be better than Halloween Kills. What I'm saying is,
We'd feel better at least.
I don't have a problem with the story of Beauty and the Beast. My favorite movie of all time is King Kong. Beauty and the Beast is not... Frankenstein, another one of my favorite movies. Creature from the Black Lagoon, another one of my favorite movies. I do not hate the concept of Beauty and the Beast. Mighty Joe Young, another one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Dracula, another one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So why don't you like Halloween Kills? Because it seems like all those other movies are just like Halloween Kills.
Because none of them grab a mirror and sing a song called Evil Dies Tonight.
Oh, you're so close.
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Oh, I'm going to look in my mirror and sing.
Okay.
It was just stop, enough.
Evil Dies Tonight.
We
Evil
get
Dies
it.
Tonight.
We get it.
That's why.
I didn't like it either.
Beauty and the Beast is not a problem for me.
Yeah.
RoboCop was Beauty and the Beast.
Well, RoboCop was
Batman is Beauty and the Beast sometimes.
Was a resurrection story, according to
yes, it was a resurrection story.
What's his name? Peter Weller.
Peter Weller.
Yeah, I'm putting that shit. To
Is
bed.
this a resurrection story?
We'll see in 3 years.
Yeah, we sure will.
Because they definitely crucified him.
It's a shame that we already have Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a waste of a good title that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a waste of a good movie because it was a good concept. They just blew it.
Yeah.
Especially today. Like, that would have been a great concept to have that reality
Mm-hmm.
streaming. They weren't there yet to execute that correctly.
Yeah.
They just wanted to do Halloween, motherfucker. They didn't want to.
Yeah, it would be so much better if we did it like today and we had like, like Post Malone and
Well, think about it. It was like a Twitch. You could do like a whole Twitch thing.
yeah.
Like, it would have been a really good idea.
No, I'm just like I'm recasting it. Like
instead of Busta Rhymes, it's
instead of
Post
Busta
Malone.
Rhymes, we have Post Malone, and
Woof.
instead of who was it, Tyra Banks or somebody? Who was it?
Oh yeah, it'd be
Who's Tyra
Megan Thee
Banks?
It was
Stallion
Tyra Banks?
now.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
There you go.
And it would be so much better today.
Lizzo.
Parentheses S sarcasm.
Right.
It'd be so much better
Yeah,
today.
no.
All right. So, I mean, I hear you, Trav. I like this movie.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
I like it. I mean, it's the best movie that you could that they could have given us with what was left from Kills. I feel like. I still think that Ends is my not Ends. 2018 is my favorite of these three in this trilogy, and I still think that it could have ended there, and I would be just as happy. Or maybe happier.
My other big problem, and again, when I say there wasn't enough Myers, I'm legit in saying that because there wasn't.
No, there was not a lot of Myers at all.
Because my favorite part of this trilogy is James Courtney. And the fact that I really kind of don't get his Myers like I did in the first two.
Yeah.
It bothers me because it's kind of like making another Jason movie, but saying to Derek Mears, yeah, we're not going to need you for this movie.
Well, I mean, they're trying to end it, so he has to...
Yeah, but that final scene could have been a lot longer. There could have been more struggles between Corey and Michael. There could have been more Michael, even though you're building the Corey story.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to rhyme there. But
yeah.
I just think that you kind of wasted it. It's kind of like bringing on Sigourney Weaver for your Alien movie and making her the voice of the computer. Like, to me, it's just like, why?
Yeah.
She's your icon. She's your reason. She's your reason why you're able to make this movie. Because without her, you don't have a franchise. This franchise died tonight, in my mind. But after talking to you guys, I do understand why it's considered good to some people.
Yeah.
But I still also understand the anger that some people have. That's why I was enjoying watching people make their comments, and I was like, do I join in? And I'm like, no, I want to do the recording and then just share our link, and they can get my opinion there.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Who's the main character of Halloween?
Laurie.
And who is the main character of Halloween Ends?
Laurie.
And I think I'm
good with that.
I think
But
there's an
just think you need more
expectation,
Myers.
and it's a lot of it is the Jasonification, which I think is a word I made up, but I really like.
No, I like that. I like that word. It's a great
Halloween 2 has so little Jamie Lee and so much, just so many short flash in the pan characters and one consistent character who is Myers, and then Loomis to a degree. Halloween 4, 5, 6, you're progressing into more and more violent on screen, so more time with Myers. And I think the Rob Zombie ones have a lot of Myers in them. I mean, I think there's been
too much Myers.
There's been a lot of like an attitudinal shift that the Halloween franchise is Michael Myers, with Halloween 3 the obvious exception, and the original Halloween kind of just being a prologue for what becomes Michael Myers the movie, part 6, part 7. And I think more even than the other two that David Gordon Green did, Halloween Ends really focuses, this is a Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode swan song, and to get her there, we're going to pack all this baggage around her at the expense of
took
Myers.
a back seat in this movie. I don't think she was the main character of this movie.
It's her story, man.
Yeah, but it felt like Corey's story. and she was involved, but because they had to spend the movie establishing this new character, you got less of Laurie because you had to get more of Corey.
Yeah.
And I think if they were going this route and this was not a fix to the last movie, then they could have trickled some of that into the last movie. Maybe Corey was involved in the Gaston group.
Yeah,
and he was kind of involved.
I'm confident that that by the time they were done filming Kills, they had no idea what they were going to do yet.
You don't believe
for
that?
Ends.
No, one thing you should know, George.
I'm confident that that's kind of the case.
Back in 2019, I think it was 2019. Maybe it was 2018. It was right around the time 2018 came out. They announced the simultaneous release schedule for Kills and Ends. They announced that Green was doing a trilogy. They announced the names of the movies. And then COVID hit and pushed everything back a year. But they knew going in that they were doing 2 movies, Kills and Ends, and they knew the names of those movies. Now, I don't know how much changed during the course of all this, and how different Kills looks in 2021.
Yep.
As opposed to if it would have come out in 2020. Like, that I would love to know more about. I don't think they'll ever pull back the curtain on that, but maybe they will.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see the first couple drafts of Ends to see where it started.
And I'm interested to see what extended and deleted scenes we get for Ends. I have a feeling, there's so much of this movie that is consistent tonally within its own little closed system. I can't imagine there's going to be too many changes that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, look at what a different movie this could have been. But I am interested to see what didn't make it.
Maybe we'll get Thorn.
Oh my God. At least we didn't get Thorn. Guys.
At least they got rid of all the Thorn stuff.
No Thorn, no Man in
totally
Black.
Did. No.
But at the same time, no Cochran.
They should have really made a reference to Cochran.
There was a man with a black cowboy hat.
There was.
But he was not the leader of Thorn.
No, he was not.
Or maybe he was, and we'll find out next time.
It would have been interesting to maybe see Laurie's daughter, like we talked about, was not killed, and she was actually the Corey character.
That wouldn't have been interesting.
Not interesting, but at least it would have explained some things. Like she just.
I'm not giving it a chance because I just.
You hated that movie.
I just hated.
I was trying.
I hated that character.
Yeah,
I didn't like her at all. That character peaked when she lured Michael Myers into the basement and said, "Got you, motherfucker," or something like that. She peaked right there, and everything
when she
after
lured him
that
out
was
to the street, and she's like, "Gotcha," with the mask.
No.
In Halloween 2018 in the stairwell.
In 2018, when she acts like she's a damsel in distress,
I
and
can't
then
do
there's
it.
Michael Myers, and she says, "Gotcha," that she peaked right there.
She said, "Gotcha" there,
something like that.
Yeah, it was a gotcha.
She
both
says
times.
"Gotcha" out in the street too. So is that like her catchphrase?
That's like
so.
They were circling back to her role in the plan.
Whatever. I'm glad she's dead and gone.
Woof on that catchphrase. Okay, I forgot she said "Gotcha" in the first one because I kind of liked it in the second one. I was like, oh okay, that was neat. But if that's her one trick pony,
no, she did it in the first one,
shit.
and it landed so good in the first one.
Okay.
In 2018.
And one thing I can tell you, George, I have been pretending that Halloween 2 is not part of the canon, and it just goes Halloween 1 to Halloween 3 for years. And so going forward, you can totally just forget Halloween Kills even exists.
It's true.
Yeah, I can.
But then when will evil die? You won't remember.
We don't know.
That it happens tonight.
That would be tonight for 500.
Oh, that would be, yeah.
I'll take tonight for 500, Alex. Thank you.
So, G-shaped letters between F and H. Oh.
But yeah, go back and check out the opening credit thing again, and keep in mind and check out the Halloween 3 font. That's so cool.
That is a good catch.
I love those.
That is cool. That makes Halloween 3 canon, doesn't it?
No,
but I wish
Cochran in this movie would have made it canon.
Oh, that would have been cool. There is that weird thing with the broadcast tower turning different colors and catching fire. Like I felt like that was an underdeveloped idea, but maybe I just didn't catch it all. And I'll get it next time through. But there was potential there for some silver Shamrockian type things.
What if Myers was a robot from Cochrane's place?
A
That would've been
robot?
cool.
I think we've hoped for that before, but then we realized, it totally destroys the early '60s part of Halloween 1, so you can't go there. But
Well, I don't know.
later,
They could go
Myers could be
Palpatine on
replaced by a robot.
He could have been replaced, like, what's her name? But they could have also
Yeah.
done the whole Palpatine thing where Myers was created by Cochrane all along.
Hey,
to
I have
bring
a
hell
question.
to Haddonfield.
Why could they rebuild Anakin from basically like 100% burns, but they couldn't save Padme from whatever happened during childbirth?
She died of a broken heart, George. Stop. Can't fix a broken heart.
Yeah, even that general, what's his name? That's nothing but
General
like a heart
Grievous.
and a brain.
Oh,
had
he
to
had a
have that
heart, and that was
working
why.
Ugh, I hate Star Wars. Next week, we're planning on circling back to the original '78 Halloween with Mini Megs, who will be watching
Yes.
it for the first time.
Nice.
That is going to be amazing. Plus, you guys are supposed to bring me 5 to 10 movies each that are better than Halloween, and I will tell you why you're wrong.
The original?
The original Halloween '78.
Yeah. I'm so pumped to be revisiting 78 because it's,
It's been a while.
it's the best Halloween movie. We all agree. And we get to show it to somebody
I was
new.
really hoping a local theater would have it playing this month.
I know how you guys felt when you showed it to me now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I get to show it to Mini Megs.
Proud dad.
So good.
Wait till you see this.
It's going to be hard coming up with, 10 movies that are better than Halloween. But we're going to try.
Yeah, probably. I only have one nailed down, so I have to at least come up with 4 more.
Okay.
If
I
you
have-
can't get to 5, that's fine too. I mean,
It's understandable.
I get it.
I mean, there is The Godfather. but
And George hasn't
what-
even seen Sleepaway Camp yet, so he doesn't know that one's. No, I'm just.
And you haven't seen American Beauty yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
So watch that in your theater.
Theater.
No, that's unlikely. But, maybe someday.
It's going to be hard to make a case against it if you haven't seen it.
That's true. You can't
I've
argue something you don't
seen
know
parts of it. I've seen enough of it to know why Halloween is better than it. How about that?
Oh, no,
about.
no,
Shit,
you
he's gonna
haven't.
argue against you.
Oh,
and
no,
he hasn't
no.
seen it.
Can you do me a favor and just watch that movie real quick?
I'll
I
do
mean-
what I can.
Yeah, just watch it. It's good stuff.
I mean, I don't know if Halloween's better than Glengarry Glen Ross, but
It's a resurrection
possible.
story.
it's possible. What's your name? Fuck you, that's my name. I mean, you don't get dialogue like that in Halloween. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. You don't.
But you do get you do get dialogue like that in Sleepaway Camp. So it all
Yeah,
comes
you
full
do.
circle.
Yeah.
Eat
it's true.
shit and live, Bill.
Oh shit!
Thank
that
you,
didn't get
listeners,
as
George.
bad as I thought it was gonna get. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. We could have all hated it. I know. Last night when I was watching it, I wanted to kick a dog, but I'm glad I didn't have a dog. I was so angry because I was like, "No, there's no 40-foot Michael."
Yeah, I guess now I just have to hold out for a 40-foot Jason.
Oh God.
yeah.
Speaking of that, Ted White died this week.
I know.
sad.
Rest in peace, Ted White.
Oh, no. Who's Ted White?
Jason Part 4.
Oh.
One of the best Jasons.
The best Jason, other than Kane and Derek
Yeah.
and CJ.
So yeah, one of the best Jasons, as I said. Clearly a top 5 Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just
it's
top
very-
5. Yeah.
I could
100%.
argue movies better than Halloween. It's very hard to pick a favorite Jason. It's almost impossible. I can pick a favorite Batman, but I can't pick a favorite Jason. I might be able to pick a favorite Michael. I kind of like the guy from the 78 flashbacks.
He was really good.
Big fan.
I thought Nick Castle
Yeah,
flashing
but
me
he
his
wasn't on
organ
screen
was
enough.
pretty funny. than
Oh,
this
speaking
one.
of that, Nick Castle made a cameo in this movie.
Did he?
Yeah, he flashed
You-
us his organ.
He showed his organ.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah. I was like, that's Nick Castle.
Shoot.
And my so proud dad moment, Gabe knew it was Nick Castle. He knew it.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show, Nick Castle.
Friend of the show. Noise. It would have been good if he was actually in the corner of the bar with a Myers mask on his head and he was drinking a beer through the mouth of the Myers mask.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
That's what I'd have done. Shit.
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity.
Oh my god.
Plenty of those in this movie.
Hey. Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class Podcast. As always, you can find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod or on Twitter @remedialfilmpod. We'll be back next week with a special Halloween 1978 revisiting, along with Mini Megs from Twitch. If you haven't heard her episode with us yet, go back and listen to Halloween 5 as she watched her first ever Halloween movie, and it was Halloween 5. Anyway, to make it up to her, having sat through that pile of garbage, she gets to watch the original Halloween for the first time in her life, and George gets the opportunity to teach someone about his favorite movie from the show so far. So it ought to be a laugh riot, and she is, as I said before, funnier than any of us. So tune in for that. John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween.